Dr. Wren slid 2 folders across her desk and said, "The committee has made their decision. There is still only one position. And they want you to compete for it one final time." I had known it was coming. Somewhere in the back of my mind, I had known since the moment I saw that email that the committee's interest in our collaborative potential didn't mean they were going to give us both a prize. This was still a competition. It had always been a competition. But knowing something is coming and having it land in front of you are 2 entirely different things. Jake was sitting beside me, not across from me, beside me, which was new, which felt significant, and I felt him go very still when Dr. Wren said it. "The joint project you've submitted is exceptional," Dr. Wren continued. She folded her hands on her desk. "Genuinely the strongest final phase work we've seen in this program in 6 years. The committee wants to use it. Both of your names will be on it regardless of who receives the placement. But only one of us gets the position," I said. "Yes. What's the final evaluation?" Jake asked. His voice was even. I didn't know how he did that. "A formal interview with the full committee. Individual. 48 hours from now." She looked between us. "I want to be transparent with you both. This is not how I would have structured this process. But the committee's decision is final." We walked out of her office into the hallway and neither of us said anything for a long moment. The building was quiet. Morning light came through the tall windows in long pale strips. I stood there holding my folder and staring at the floor tiles and trying to figure out what I was feeling. Angry. I was angry. At the committee, at the structure, at the way this whole thing had been engineered around us like we were variables in someone else's experiment. And underneath the anger, something worse. Something that felt like grief. Because 48 hours ago I had sat in a coffee house and told Jake Morrison that I had looked forward to seeing him every single day for 10 years. And he had told me about a terrible sonnet. And something had shifted between us that I did not know how to unshift. And now we were back here. "You should take the interview," I said. He turned to look at me. "What? You're good. You're ready. The position should be yours." I kept my eyes on the floor. "I'll withdraw. Mara, don't dash. I have a medical situation to manage. The timing isn't dash. Stop." He stepped in front of me, and his voice was quiet but it had an edge I hadn't heard before. "Don't do that. Don't use your diagnosis as an excuse to step back from something you've earned. I'm not dash. You are." He waited until I looked at him. "You worked as hard as I did for this. Harder, probably, because you were doing it while managing something I can't imagine. You don't get to give it away because things got complicated between us." I stared at him. "So what, we just go back to competing? Like the last 3 weeks didn't happen?" "I didn't say that." "Then what are you saying?" He ran a hand through his hair, a gesture I had catalogued over years of sitting near him, the one that meant he was working through something he didn't have clean language for yet. "I'm saying both things are true at the same time. You deserve this position. What's happening between us is real. And I don't know how to make those 2 things not be in conflict right now." I leaned back against the wall. The folder was getting crumpled in my hands. "I called the specialist," I said, after a moment. "The one the clinic referred me to. I have an appointment next week. I have a management plan." I looked at him. "I'm not broken, Jake. I want you to know that. I'm not withdrawing because I think I can't do this." "I know you're not broken," he said immediately. Like it wasn't even a question. "I'm withdrawing because I stopped. Because I was scared. Because the idea of beating him felt hollow in a way it never had before. Because somewhere in the last 3 weeks the competition had stopped being the point." But I didn't say any of that. Instead I said, "I need to think." He nodded. "Okay. I need a day. Take it." I pushed off the wall and started walking. I made it about 15 feet before he called after me. "Mara." I stopped but didn't turn around. "Whatever you decide," he said, "I need you to know that what I said in that coffee house, that wasn't strategy. That wasn't me trying to get you to withdraw. That was just true." I stood there with my back to him and my eyes burning and my folder crushed against my chest. "I know," I said. And I kept walking. I went home and I sat on my bed and I called Simone and I told her everything. All of it. The email, the coffee house, the sonnet, the hallway, all of it. She was quiet for a long time when I finished. Then she said, "What do you actually want, Mara? Not what's strategic. Not what's safe. What do you want?" And the answer came so fast and so clearly that it scared me. I wanted both. I wanted the internship and I wanted Jake and I wanted to stop being forced to choose between the things I'd worked for and the person I'd been circling for a decade. The problem was that the committee had built a structure that said I couldn't have both. And somewhere around 2 in the morning, lying in the dark staring at the ceiling, I started to think that maybe the structure was the thing that needed to change. Because I had spent my entire life being told what the rules of the competition were. I had spent my entire life working within someone else's framework. And I was done with that. I sat up. I turned on my lamp. I opened my laptop. And I started writing. I started writing. And by the time the sun came up, I had a proposal that had nothing to do with withdrawing, nothing to do with competing, and everything to do with refusing to let someone else's rules decide what I got to keep.